Before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Zabar Cole and Intelligent Savage for their contribution to the channel. I also like to thank my moderator, Swing Out Museum, for his continued support of the channel.
My man.
Paul Roebuck for his $25 donation.
Hallelujah!
And Damian McDermott for not one, but two $50 donations. And to all of you who contribute anonymously, your support is much appreciated. And if you'd like to contribute to the channel directly, PayPal and Cash App are available. Just be sure to let me know in the For section if it's okay for me to thank you publicly, or else I'll assume you want to remain anonymous.
And here we go.
Layman's Journal Chapter 213. 30 plus years ago, when I was a child, a female family member showed me The Color Purple. I didn't quite understand what I was watching, but I do remember being told it was a good movie. I also remember the controversy surrounding it, how members of the black community spoke out against it, particularly the NAACP. And when I asked why, the female family member that showed me the movie simply said, "It's because they hate black women."
Alright.
And being a child at the time, I bought into that narrative. But it wasn't until I became an adult and began to question the things I was taught that I decided to take another look at the movie from a pro-masculinist point of view. And I was blown away by the lies and outright misandry the movie told. The original film is an account of the intimate exploitation and mistreatment of young black girls and women living in the American South at the turn of the century, as told from the perspective of a teenage girl named Celie, played by Whoopi Goldberg, who was tragically separated from her sister Nettie after she, at the age of 14, is forced to marry a man named Mr., played by Danny Glover, a man that was more than twice her age. And for decades, the film chronicles Celie's oppression under the cruel hand of her husband, and her hope that one day she'll be reunited with her sister. The movie is based on a novel of the same name by misandrist author Alice Walker. Now, the problem with all of that is,
this is a lie.
None of it is true. That's not how life was for black women living in the South back in the day, because there needs to be a cultural and legal infrastructure in place that empowers black men to do that. A black man can't simply employ that within his own community or family. He needs to be backed by law enforcement and the judicial system. And black men have never had that kind of systemic authority over black women. Because we, as a group, both male and female, went from slavery to oppression. We were in it together. Now, some people will argue that white men may have had that authority over white women, and we can debate that. But the fact of the matter is, if they did have that power, they did not share it with black men. They didn't give us the legal authority to control our women. So we weren't going around selling black girls as child brides to old men in exchange for cows and chickens. But that's the lie the movie propagates. It was something that Alice Walker made up to justify her unfounded, irrational hatred of black men. Yet it is widely regarded as true, or based on a true story. And it's all because of this guy right here, director-producer Steven Spielberg. Now, for those of you who don't know who he is easily the greatest filmmaker of his generation, if not all time. This is a man responsible for classics like Saving Private Ryan, Schindler's List, and of course Jaws, whom many regard as his greatest work. A film so impactful that it led to a decline of beach attendance for several years, as people literally believed there were man-eating sharks roaming the shores of American beaches. It didn't matter if the statistical data proved that to be false. People believed it because the movie was so convincing. And The Color Purple had that same impact on the black community. Black people to this day, specifically black women, believed it, even though that was not the experience of their parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents. Because it's one of those films, like Jaws, that people believe more than the observable facts. And that's largely because it was so well done, so well written, and so well cast. From an artistic and strictly an artistic point of view, It is easily one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's the best I've ever seen, again, from an artistic perspective, and it was extremely popular. It's one of those movies like A Christmas Story or Forrest Gump that people haven't seen but know everything about, on account of how much fans spoke about it. Another example of the film's influence can be found in the credits. Kathleen Kennedy, along with Spielberg, is listed as lead producer. Now, for those of you that are fans of the Star Wars franchise and follow the anti-woke media, you know who she is.
Put a chick in it, make her gay! Put a chick in it and make her Layman gay!
But back then, this was the second major film that she produced, the first being E.T. So for all of you that are wondering what happened to Star Wars, why this new modern era of the franchise features a lot of strong female leads, while the men are reduced to idiots and sidekicks that live in the shadows of women, or villains without a cause, this movie right here, The Color Purple, is where that all started. You can see the fingerprints of this movie in all of Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars projects. So you could imagine my anger, my disgust when I found out that Oprah Winfrey was producing a remake.
Ah, here we go again.
Yeah, those are my thoughts exactly. Here we go again with the hate, misandry, and non-stop black male bashing. Here we go again with another attempt at indoctrinating a new generation of black women to hate black men. And the thing I hated most is I knew I had to watch it again. I had to suffer through this BS for a second time. And after seeing the 2023 version of the film, I've got some thoughts on what I saw. So, let's get it. First, let me say this will be a short video because I don't like talking about this movie. And secondly, because it was released in theaters, I don't have any clips to show you, but there will be some spoilers. However, if you've seen the '85 film, you don't have to worry about the things I say in this video, as the new version doesn't deviate from the narrative. And I'm assuming, with the film's original release being nearly 40 years ago, that most of you have seen it or know what it's about. And the first thing I want to say is, this film is not a reboot. It's actually a musical based on the Broadway play that Oprah Winfrey produced. And while the broad strokes of the story remains the same, the film focuses more on the singing, as it abbreviates the details. Like me, it assumes that the viewer has already seen the original movie. So I can't call it a remake, it's more of a musical-inspired interpretation of the original film. But they do make some modifications, as well as include scenes that were not in the original movie, specifically in the third act. But I thought overall it was a lighter version of the original film. It wasn't as hard to watch. It had a more joyous tone. Not that it was overly joyous. And like the previous version, from an artistic point of view, and only an artistic point of view,
Brilliant.
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 it was very well done. Generally, I hate musicals, but I have to admit, I loved the songs in this movie. There were at least 3 or 4 of them that I was bobbing my head and snapping my fingers to, as well as the choreography. I thought it was outstanding. Another thing I liked was the casting. Fantasia Barrino, Taraji P. Henson, Coleman Domingo, and Danielle Brooks played the lead roles of Celie, Suge Avery, Mr. and Sophia, with Corey Hawkins as Harpo and Halle Bailey as young Nettie. But there were also some great performances from minor characters, particularly Dion Cole and David Alan Grier. Their roles were minimal, but they hit it out the park. First of all, I didn't even know it was them until the camera zoomed in. Much like Colin Farrell in The Batman, they disappeared into their characters. And there was also a cool cameo in the first act. What I didn't like was Sierra being cast as the older version of Nettie, and I don't understand why they did that aside from wanting another celebrity in the movie. You see, the original Nettie was played by one actress that they aged up with makeup in her latter years, and I don't understand why they didn't do that with Halle Bailey. And also because Sierra is a weak singer, not someone you'd cast in a musical. Talent-wise, she didn't belong in the film. But the cinematography, costume, and set design were great. Overall, it was a well-produced film that will likely receive a lot of Oscar consideration. And I also liked a lot of the modifications towards the end of the movie. You see, Celie goes to Memphis in the original film, but it doesn't speak on what exactly she was doing there. But in this version of the movie, it shows us what that was. And I also liked how the final chapter completed the story of Mr. I thought his character in the third act was more fleshed out and was better written. Now, I've already articulated what I didn't like about the movie. but to reiterate, this is a light telling of the story, but it still pushes the black misandrous agenda. It still portrays black men as demons, with the only decent black man in the film being a buffoon. So even though it was very well done, the message behind it was BS. I said the first film was a turd wrapped in glitter. This variation of the movie is the same turd wrapped in glitter but covered in perfume.
Damn!
It's a gentler variation of the same lie. And that's about all I want to say about it. Like I said, this wasn't going to be a long review, but if you want to hear my take on the original film, you can check out this video where I do a scene-by-scene breakdown of the original story. So I'm going to close things right here, but before I go, please be sure to check out the other videos in my library, as I'm sure there's something there you'll enjoy. And if you like this video, please share the link on your social media platforms. I cannot stress how far that goes into helping me grow the channel. But that's it. That's all I have to say about it. What do you have to say about it? Leave a comment in the comment section and let's have a conversation. Now, I'm sure you've heard me say this a million times, so if you like this video, give it a like and leave a comment in the comment section and share the link in your social media platforms. I cannot stress enough how far that goes into helping me grow the channel.
Hell! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
And while I do appreciate you liking, sharing, subbing, and leaving comments, I'm going to ask that you go another step further in helping me grow the channel. I set up a membership program for those of you who'd like to offer additional support. It's not anything expensive or special, it's just 99 cents a month. It's just support so I can continue doing what I do here.
Help me! Help me! Help me!
In the future, there will be additional tiers with added benefits, but for right now, I just need your support to cover basic costs. So please, sign up so I can continue bringing you awesome content. This is the Layman's Journal. I'm out.